The injuries can be very serious for sure from a slip and fall.
If you slip and fall on someone else's property, could you have a case to sue? And where do you turn for help? We're going to find out right now on this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest is Denver attorney Samantha Pryor. And I remind you, if you'd like to ask Samantha questions about your situation, it's easy. Go to askthelawyer.com, click the button up at the top of the page that says Ask a Lawyer, walk you right through the process there. Or you can always call the phone number you'll see on the screen during our conversation. Samantha, good to see you again. Thank you for helping us out one more time.
It's great to see you as well. Thank you for having me. It's always great to be here.
So, in your practice, how common are slip and fall injuries? I'm guessing sometimes a year maybe they're more common than others, but is this something you've seen quite a few of in your experience?
Yes, actually, slip and falls happen all the time in all kinds of different places. And so, yes, slip and falls, are something that the Halliburton Law Firm, we handle a lot of slip and fall cases.
I'm guessing in wintertime with ice and snow and slush and water, are they more common that time of year?
Actually, yes, slip and falls tend to happen a lot during the snowy weather, and snowy season. And so we do see an uptick in those kind of cases during the winter seasons.
Under what circumstances might somebody be able to tell, maybe on their own, if they might have a case? Can you give us like a couple of examples, maybe a rule of thumb to know whether or not you may even have a case to pursue?
Sure, absolutely. So, for slip and fall cases, it's important to know that the regular negligence rules don't necessarily apply. Usually, it's the Colorado Premises Liability Act that controls. And the Colorado Premises Liability Act requires a plaintiff to show and meet certain elements in order for that victim to establish liability and also recover for any damages or injuries they sustain. And so, for under that act, an injured victim just needs to show that there was a dangerous condition upon the property of another, of which the owner knew or should have known about, and they didn't do anything to prevent it from the dangerous condition from occurring, and they didn't take any sort of action to warn the public. And so, if the injured victim is able to show, for example, that the landowner knew that there was, a dangerous condition. For example, we just picked up a case where an older lady slipped and fell at her apartment complex on the sidewalk, unfortunately, and she sustained some very serious injuries. And we were able to establish that there were a number of different tenants who were complaining to the landowner about the landowner's failure uh, to shovel and keep the sidewalk free from snow and ice. And so it's really helpful to show that the landowner had prior knowledge of a dangerous condition, including ice or snow on the walkway.
You mentioned that this particular client had serious injuries. Can sometimes, I guess these could be, some people may think, oh, you fall down, you get a bump, you go, but these could have some very serious injuries caused by them, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, when people fall, sometimes they don't have a way to break their fall, and they can hit their heads and sustain a traumatic brain injury. We see a lot of cases with broken bones. And those type of cases obviously are very serious, especially when we have, victims who are in their older ages, because it's
Right.
really difficult for them to bounce back. And so the injuries can be very serious for sure from a slip and fall.
Where are some of the more common places where these slip and falls may happen? Is it uh, grocery stores, retail shops, hotels, public sidewalks, or all of the above?
All of the above, actually. And depending on where someone slips and falls, um, will depend on what kind of process they need to go through. So, for example, if someone falls on public property or on the property of a governmental entity, on a government site, then they have to file what's called a notice of claim with the appropriate entity or individual in order for them to uh, meet the requirements under the Colorado Governmental Immunities Act, because government entities are usually immune from tort actions like negligence suits for slip and fall accidents. So yes, the slip and falls, they occur a lot of different places.
Some people, and I may think, some in the public may have a misunderstanding and think, oh, these kind of cases are frivolous lawsuits. What do you think about that, Samantha? What would be your answer to that?
I would strongly disagree. Slip and fall accidents happen all the time, and people are injured in those incidents. Now, there are people, of course, who file claims that don't have merit because there's not real liability or there's no real injury. But there are plenty of people who have sustained some very serious injuries as a result of a slip and fall incident. So definitely not a frivolous type of claim.
It would seem to me, too, that maybe this can change some behavior, too, of these kind of cases. Like the one you were mentioning, maybe that apartment complex from now on is going to make sure those sidewalks are clear and dry and safe for people after that, too. So it can change behaviors.
That's right. Actually, in the incident that we just took on a case for, the landlord actually started putting the salt down on
Right.
the icy place where the victim fell. And so oftentimes the at-fault party will try to argue that sort of evidence is not admissible in court as a subsequent remedial measure. But all an injured victim needs to really do is to just establish that sort of remedy could have been in place before the incident in order to prevent the incident.
Really helpful information, Samantha. Thank you, as always, for taking some time to answer our questions. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Denver attorney Samantha Pryor. If you want to ask Samantha questions about your situation, it's easy. Go to askthelawyer.com. Click the button up at the top that says Ask a Lawyer. It'll walk you through the process, and it's free to ask your questions. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with Ask the Lawyers.